You good? Oh. Nah, I ain't calling her. Ain't nobody worried about her. I just called you, folks. Hello? Hey. Okay, I can send you my location. You should come up to dang, what was it called? Walker? There's Walker Hall outside, huh? But they got it turned into like the parking lot, yeah? I turned into Walker and then ended up walking through the thing. There's Walker like right here, yeah? Okay. Whoa. Alright. Yeah, I'll still send you my location now. We ain't started yet. Are you ready? Oh.
This is a hot mic. It's whatever you say.
Is it gonna pick it up?
Oh, it got me into Streamland, not Dreamland.
You right. Hey, please, thank you, sir. Everybody, that's my dad. I don't know if y'all can tell. For sure. Pause. Is mama coming? Where's she at? She still? The show gonna go on. She'll be all right. What's good, everybody? Thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for waiting with me. We rocking. I appreciate everybody pulling up. My family here, the students, and miscellaneous people that I know from throughout the years. Thank y'all. Man, y'all missed the outro. Come on to the front. Come on, I'm finna get started. Hey, chill. All right. So I feel like a good way to get to know a person is just through the things they make. You know, their creations represent just their inner world, their thoughts, feelings, emotions, views on stuff, opinions, all of that. So throughout this talk, hold up. Throughout this talk, I'm finna discuss a few pieces, and we're gonna see if y'all still rock with me after y'all learn my dirty inside world. So I'm mainly gonna be discussing my progression just throughout the years, how I started making stuff, where I ended up now, everything in between, and just some of the process behind a few of the pieces that I like. And I wanna be very clear on this. I'm not looking to give any concrete answers on nothing that these are about. I feel like a good bit of the fun of it is to go up to it, find your own interpretation. I give you the pieces, you can figure it out from there. I believe in y'all, y'all smart. With that, it's your boy, Art Daddy Kills. Hold on, let me get this out the way. My name is Keldrick Dunn, professionally known as Art Daddy Kills, also known as DJ Daddy Kills. I make music, holla at your boy, AKA. So, some personal history on myself. I was born and raised home in Louisiana, June 1997. June 24th, 1997. Your boy Cancer. I don't rock with Gemini. Yeah. Nah, I'm Cancer. We ain't giving Gemini no props. Yes, sir. So in Homer, it's a small community, but everybody real close knit because it's 1,000 people. If I want to be generous, 1,500 people. I don't think no more than that. What you said it is? I don't believe y'all. I'll be extra nice. I'll give it 2, maybe 3. Maybe 3. That's if I stretch my imagination. But with that, small community for the most part, but there's no real art community there. So it's a lot of people that are creative there, that make a lot of stuff. And in fact, I come from a family of creators. We got people that's in music, that paint, do visual arts, graphic design, tapestry, pottery, ceramics, whatever you can think of. There's probably somebody in the family that do it. And I got my start personally connecting more so with my mom's side of the family. They were more so the people that did visual and music. And more than that, I got you. More than that, my aunt got me started drawing in the first place. She would watch us after school, and she would watch us after school in that little time between my parents getting off and all that. And we just sit in the living room and draw. And we be drawing, we just be watching cartoons, or she'd give me a cereal box, I draw that, coloring book, do all that. So rough, that probably influenced the way that I make stuff now, but we'll figure that out throughout the talk. But even if it didn't stick as much as it did, it really introduced graphic illustration and design to me at a young age. I'm elementary, probably 8 years old at this time, just learning how to hold a pencil, and she got me in there drawing trick cereal boxes. So, for sure. I told y'all I'd go come back for you. I got you. From that, just doing stuff around town, you know, just local shows and contests that happen. And then I ended up going to school for graphic design, which I'm not gonna get into that part yet. We'll get there. You'll know exactly when I'm talking about graphic design. I hated it. But I started in graphic design, and I switched to studio art, and then I studied painting and illustration after I got to studio art. And that really influenced a lot of stuff down the line, you know, stuff that we go catch up to. But before I go there, I'm gonna take it back a little bit, talk about some of my early works. Yes, sir, peep the game. So I consider these to be, you know, some of my first real pieces, even though I didn't know what was going on. I was just literally just vibing on it and just kind of throwing colors together, figuring out color palettes, trying to see what worked. And composition-wise, I didn't know nothing about that. I just kind of knew what felt right. You know, what colors felt right, how I wanted to arrange stuff, and it ended up being a piece. So this is another one. Again, the main thing that happened in these were, you know, the little silhouettes from cartoon characters that I was watching. You know, like this right here. Actually, I'm not gonna tell y'all who that is, but it's a cartoon character silhouette. You can probably figure it out. You can probably figure out the one in the back too. Hey, yo, we ain't talking about that right now. You can figure that out on your own later. When I was making pieces like this, a lot of it was basically just me throwing colors together, and I experienced this thing called synesthesia, which is essentially the senses get mixed up. So specifically, I would go through chromesthesia, which is I would see color while hearing sounds and music in particular. I also got the other one where I can taste words. I hate that one though. Please don't talk to me after this. So essentially, I would make a playlist, figure out whatever mood I wanted to go for, and just kind of freestyle around, reacting to whatever songs were in the playlist, you know, whatever colors they made me see, whatever I felt from that, that would be the piece. Again, largely influenced by whatever was in that playlist. Also, when I was making these pieces, oh wait, I forgot I had this one in here. So let me talk about this one for a second. So I was in high school, 2014 to be exact, and I got invited to, well, I did it was some juried exhibition out here at ULM. I brought this piece, and I never got it back, but I don't hold no grudges. Anyway, another little flex. Around this time, this is late high school, again, 2014, around the square, and I would take stuff there every year. This particular year, your boy came home, best of show, first place and third place. I was 17, walking out with $600. Yes, sir. Facts. They ain't got nothing to do with nothing. I just wanted to let y'all know I've been him. For sure. All right. So we go get to this. Actually, don't even look at this one yet. We go stick with her for a second. So this is right after high school. I'm going into college. Started off in graphic design, miserable. Mans was way too strict on some of the stuff that he had us doing. He would be like, oh, you 1/18 of an inch off? do the whole project again. It's like, bro, come on. This is a quarter system. I got 8 weeks. I can't do 2 projects at the same time, man. It was killing me. I hate all that precision, which is crazy because I paint like this, but that's beside the point. Anyway, this is my first real time being away from home too. And like I said, small community, close knit people. And now I'm in Ruston, which it's not the biggest, but compared to Homer, it felt like New York, especially for the first time being gone. And on top of that, on top of paint graphic design, on top of being away from home for the first time, I was one of like 3 black kids out there. So now you also got cultural isolation on top of that. And now, there you go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now we get to Americales. So at this point, I was in studio art, fully done transition, left graphic design. Oh my mama, I hate that. Either way, left it. One of the first classes I took in studio art was conceptual design. Again, never really knew nothing about concepts. I was just kind of vibing through a piece, throwing stuff together. Whatever worked, it worked. When I got to this class, and he was like, no, think about it beforehand. I'm like, that's crazy, folk. We'll see. One of the first projects we had was something and identity. You could pick one of the 3 themes. I ended up going with identity, and that in some weird way had me thinking about mortality and also just how I fit in at that school. So with that, I fixated on the idea of making these pop culture figures that I already using silhouettes from, hoping that I don't get sued, fingers crossed, and using these characters as the vehicle for my own expression. So again, reaching back to these drawings I used to do with my aunt, shout out to Charette, and adapting that process from the color exploration pieces, I wanted to be more intentional with what characters I was bringing in, what they mean for the piece, how do they contribute to the overall message that I'm getting to. And that's when I started looking at, okay, I am one of few black kids here. I do feel this cultural isolation. What other characters experience stuff like that? Franklin from Peanuts. So, quick little tangents. Franklin was made because Shorty wrote to Charles Schultz, who makes and designed the Peanut characters. I was like, hey, it's the civil rights going on right now. Can we get a black character? And Schultz was like, I'm a 40-year-old white man. I don't know nothing about no black people. But eventually, he ended up making Franklin. But he was also the least utilized out of the group. So it was like, yeah, sure, here you go, but I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm not gonna touch it. Which, I get it, sure. But I kept with that. Kept with just looking for other black characters. And I specifically wanted to use characters that are already black, that came from black shows, and extra points if they were like just a singular black character in a show that wasn't made by black people or starring a lot of other black characters. If they were one of few, great. So this piece in particular was about those restrictions that black Americans face in trying to express themselves. If you just kind of walk around with that knowledge that I'm being watched, and in some ways you kind of hide parts of yourself, trying to not be a stereotype, trying to not step on toes, trying to not seem too aggressive. You try to be a little safe, or at least that's what I was feeling at the time. I still feel like it kind of happened, but that's beside the point. Whatever. So connecting Franklin and all the history that I just gave you about how he was created and everything, connecting him with this giant gold grill, it pointed towards that dissonance that I was feeling. That even if I'm trying to like tone down who I am, I feel like I'm still gonna be looked at like this. Also, the teeth throwed in the dark. Yes, sir. I was on fire back then. I presented that I was like, hey, yo, while y'all looking at it, I flipped the lights off. They were like, oh, word, the teeth grow. That's crazy. I was like, yes, sir. And then for the rest of the quarter, everybody else was going to dark paint. And again, they ain't got nothing to do with nothing other than to let y'all know, say it with me, I'm him. Yes, sir. All right, all right. So composition was all. I'm sorry. Composition was largely inspired by Kerry James Marshall's piece, Portrait of the Shadow is a portrait of the artist as a shadow of his former self, 1980. That is a mouthful. And that in itself was inspired by Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. Both were essentially about erasing your identity in a sense. I guess that's all I gotta say about that. Yeah, we're moving on from this one. All right. But after this, I'm gonna get off him. After this, I found just identity was just a good groove for me. Just being able to take whatever I was feeling, whatever I was thinking, whatever was going on with me, finding ways to put it into the work. It was a way to just vent stuff out and just sort through emotions. And I also enjoyed just being able to elevate this cartoon imagery to fine art. You know, I feel like cartoons get this rep of just being children's entertainment. And it's like, nah, you can do some cool stuff with it. And like, you can tackle some big subjects using cartoons because it gives that distance between the real emotion, but it still puts off that real emotion without you having to be too close to it. You know what I mean? I wrote it better here. They have a sophistication for adults and can distill things for children. Anyway, it was around this time that I started implementing the characters that I mainly use. Now, you see the work that I do now, you'll know who it is. I'm not saying names because IRS. Either way, it was also around this time that I started focusing on my role as capital A artist. Because at this point, I'm just kind of getting started doing stuff. I'm really starting to like figure out how to use my craft, how to figure out how to use it. And also, again, this is, oh, shout out. What up? This is also, dang, I lost it. Facts. I was figuring out how to use things, being an artist for real now, but I'm also 19, so I'm transitioning from being a child to adult now. And there's a lot of stuff to balance at once. You know, figuring out how to say stuff, figuring out how to be an adult on your own. Sure, I'd been arrested for like a year or so at this point, but I didn't know what I was doing on the real. Surprised I made it, but I started, after this, facts. I started feeling and being able to express just more diverse themes, stuff like just guilt, depression, imposter syndrome, being able to work through that. And I was taking these illustration classes and they showed me how to tell a story in one image. And I just really condense everything down to just a single composition. And with that is my second transition from work into these shaped canvases. This is my first attempt at it. So the way this one was constructed, I built the back panel and then I placed a panel on top of that for the sky, and then I cut out the head and the pedestal. We'll go more in depth about that. But the purpose of the shape canvases and even cutting stuff down like that, excuse me, because I wanted to just like distill everything down to just whatever I needed to tell the story. You know, just make it more concise, cut the fat on everything. You only need these images. And it'll come out, you know, you'll see it better in the next few ones, but this was, again, the first attempt at it. And like I said, this is where I felt like I was hitting my stride and saying stuff. This particularly, I was thinking just the hubris of being an artist. Like, God make humans, and then humans decide, I could do that. And then you start making art. And it's kind of arrogant, but it's also fun. But with that, if you're not careful, you get a little success, it could go to your head, especially as a 19-year-old. And I was like getting straight A reviews in all of my critiques. Nobody could touch me. I was on fire. I was killing the game. But again, that was a big ego to have at 19. I was kind of on this pedestal, but I'm trying to just be cautious with it and not get too big for myself. Not feel like, well, I can't do anything wrong. I feel like a lot of artists fall into that trap, especially like you look at, who's somebody who had a terrible fall off? I can't think of it. It ain't about them right now anyway. But with this, when I was working through it, I was really thinking of like the story of Icarus and how arrogance was his downfall. And again, these artists, they get too big for themselves and then they stop doing the stuff that got them where they were, whether it's stop practicing, stop using your references, stop doing your sketches, stop everything that got you to the point where you were getting this kind of acclaim in the first place. And this was just kind of me telling myself, chill. And if self-portrait, which was, by the way, I don't think I said the title. This was called Self-Portrait, 2019, holla at your boy. If that was just like this manic high that I'd be on, then Laundry Day, which is this, is like the other extreme of that, where if I'm putting so much emphasis on that aspect of my identity, thinking, oh yeah, I create, I'm an artist, and just letting that be what I am and feeling like I get so much self-worth out of that, what's gonna happen if I get to a point where I can't make that? Will I still feel like myself? No. Actually, this was inspired by a 2-year period where I just could not make anything outside of those class projects. Just because those had deadlines and everything else I was trying to do was, I'm like, bro, I'm too good for this. I got to do better. So I would trash a lot of stuff. And again, that went on for like 2 years, which was just that other downside of having that hubris, just feeling like stuff wasn't meet my standards. Also, it was really that Spider-Man 2 moment when Peter Parker was like, Spider-Man is taking up so much of my time. I gotta stop, man. And then he stopped, and then he was like, but I miss being Spider-Man, man. And then he ended up coming back. So I composed this one like it was that moment where he deciding, am I throwing this away? Am I digging it back out? What am I gonna do? It's been 2 years at this point. It's getting wild. Let's just give it a break. Or again, is he picking it up? I don't know, man. That's on y'all to figure out. I don't know. I'm gonna leave y'all with that though. So now we go next. This is just more of the shaped ones that I did. I shouldn't have put this one there. I can't talk about this one without explaining it too much. But yeah, just marvel at it for a second. It's also in the show in there. This brings us to 2020 till now. It was around this point where I met Vitus and got connected with the Black Creative Circle. And they brought me in to help with this Black Lives Matter mural that they were working on at the time. And I have no idea where it's at now. I'll figure that out later. But I was still kind of dealing with, identity in my work. And this time, this one reached back more towards Americales and what was going on. And also, again, it was a Black Lives Matter mural. It was also that transition between those shape pieces that I was doing and the stuff that I'm doing now. So where the shape pieces was me trying to cut everything down and just say straight up what's going on, before that, I started getting into surrealism and symbolist painting and was just looking at those more. And my work just started just moving towards more allegorical, I guess is the word, that works for now. But just more, it was less straightforward, but more emotion towards it. You can come on, Come on. Man. God. Anyway, yeah, I was into surrealism, symbolist painting at this point. Work started getting less straightforward in how I was presenting these stories. For this Black Lives Matter mural, as you can see, I had the A, and nah, I had the R. And I was thinking about symbolic gestures of justice. You know, this is 2020, late 2020, October 2020, I want to say. So it's right after the George Floyd and all the protests and everything. Symbolic gestures where it feels like they give you a Band-Aid to cover a gunshot wound, that kind of thing. And in fact, it came from this. This was like the biggest, oh yeah, we killed you, here, have a Band-Aid and a sticker. But yeah, I'm gonna get off of them for a second. Again, it bridged the gap between shape canvases and now. And structurally, because it manipulated the letter of the R, and you know, again, the imagery was what I was moving towards, which brings us to, skipping past them, Relapse. This is my senior show. Ooh, I can't wait to get to that part. But the idea for these started just thinking, before I even started on them, I knew I wanted them to be paintings about paintings. And whatever way those go take me, however they end up manifesting towards the end, it's about paintings, very, very broadly. It was also while I was working on these that I realized for like the first time how much my work is about being an artist in itself, and just how present it was throughout everything. So when I made self-portrait and laundry day, you know, the head on the pedestal and the black silhouette at the trash can, that was really early and stuff. That was when I was first really getting my feet wet, being capital A artist. By the time I got to these, I done started signing contracts. I'm selling prints. I'm thinking about taxes. Bro, I was tired. So at this point, I had some hair on my chest. And I was thinking about what it means to be an artist, but now I'm also in the real world with it. I'm not having the safety net of school, the resources that I had at Tech, the people that I was meeting through Tech. I have to go out there and do all that on my own. I have to find, wood shops and the materials that I need, the tools that I'm gonna need, meet the people that I need to meet. I got to do all that on my own now. And just thinking about what that is gonna look like after, by the time I get to that point. And actually, I think I got a few of them on here. Let's see. Some of the themes just throughout all 6 of these were those anxieties, how I felt, how I figured it was gonna turn out, or how I figured it might turn out, a possibility for them. Some of those themes were just financial stability. Will I be able to make money off of it? How am I gonna figure out that? What is it gonna do to me now that I gotta take what I'm using to process the world to make money off of the world and to live and eat? And just the impact that this gonna have on me. So this is one of my favorites. This one is me and gang, bonjour and baguettes. I'll let y'all put that pun together yourself. Oh, that's hilarious. I ain't gonna go too deep about what this one's about. And this is No, another one of my favorites out of it. As you can tell, well, probably not in here, but on here, it's they're all framed. I built them frames by hand. Very proud of those. Shout out to my craftsmanship. Now, I got another rant to go on real quick. You see that big space in the middle? So originally there were 7 pieces for this. It was a 3-foot by 4-foot that was gonna sit right there in the middle of the 6 pieces. And it was, 3 on each side. And while these are about anxiety, the middle piece was inspired by a Sword of Damocles story, which was there was a guy that said he wanted to be the king for like a day, and the king was like, you know what? Yeah, you have this. The guy sitting there getting fed grapes, watching people make mashed potatoes and pour butter on it in front of him, just having a good old time. And then he looked up and he saw, oh, word, there's a sword up there hanging over my head by a single horsehair. And it frightened him so much that he was like, I don't want to be king anymore. So this middle piece was essentially inspired by that. Took most of that same imagery of the sword hanging over the guy, sitting down, just having a good old time enjoying himself, chilling. Note my phrasing of that, enjoying himself. And that for me was supposed to say that while I have these anxieties around me, I'm still excited to go out here and do this. I'm finna make this work. We pipping this art stuff on my mama. But because of the, again, the phrasing of that, of how I described that piece, the imagery in it, a certain portion of it was deemed inappropriate, and I had to take it down, and I ain't never had my heart broke by art like I did that morning. And that's the one thing that I did not think about when I was making these, when I was thinking about what is it gonna be to be an artist. I didn't think about censorship. I ain't never had to face that. And then I did that morning, and I was very angry. Anyway, I just had to get that out real quick. I don't think there's no more slides on here. Either way. So, in conclusion, it really do, bro. Y'all gotta watch out for censorship, man. Watch out how y'all put the stuff, or at least go through the proper channels, get it cleared beforehand. I didn't know I had to do all that. It was people making worse stuff than what I had in that painting, but that's beside the point. That's neither here nor there. In conclusion, that's essentially the evolution of my artistic identity in a nutshell. You know, I'm definitely not the first artist to focus on pop culture and cartoons, but I do want to make sure that they get recognized as just a valuable form of communication and just not let them be solely relegated to children's entertainment. Because again, as y'all just saw through a wonderful 30-something minute presentation, your boy been freaking them for a minute. So, hey, hold up, I got a little bit more. So to just kind of wrap it up and some nice little bullet points for people that like, you know, sentence summaries. The work is largely just about my journey in defining my identity, exploring the connection between these characters and my own experiences, drawing the parallels between them, making them work for me. And with that, my beautiful people, world keeps turning. Thank you. We done. Y'all made it through. Give a round of applause to yourself. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Big me up. Yes, sir. For sure. Yeah, y'all got any questions? I'm thirsty. Hold up. Hold up.